Okay, good. This is kind of just a run through of the Tidal Waves project and kind of a how-to. So the first thing is that you can find the resources that you need on um, Canvas here. So if you go to the Tidal Wave project directions and examples, that sheet, oops, wrong one, that sheet would look like this. This is the printed out version that I gave you in class. But it also has two things that will really help you. Right here in blue is the link that you need for your data. And then not attached to the paper version that I gave you is this example. This example will kind of help you see if you're doing things properly. If your numbers are super crazy and they don't look similar to these, then you may be having an issue, and let me know and I will definitely help you out. Now, yours will not be exactly these because you're not picking the exact same location and time, but they shouldn't be too crazy. So if we go ahead and click on this blue link at the very top, that should take us to, or you might have to copy and paste it as well. So if I copy, go to a new tab, and I'll paste. Okay, this will let you choose your location over here on the left. You're going to choose one location. So say I choose Myrtle Beach. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Then right here, you're going to go to the Tidal Predictor. This is going to have your information, but you need to edit it first. So you're going to go down, you're going to change this to 3 days, and then right here, you're going to change your starting date. If you look on the directions, your starting date needs to be between April 1st and August 15th and always start at a time of 0. So it doesn't matter what day you choose. I'll just go ahead and go to do April 20th, and I'm going to click Make Prediction. So then it's going to update the data for you. The next thing you need to check is you need to check the low tide and the high tide differences. If they're not a difference of 3 or more, then you need to go back and you need to choose a different location or a different set of dates. But this one's fine because the difference is greater than 3 between the negative 1.7 and the 5.48. So once you know that that's good, this is your data, print this sheet out. You will need it for your project. So then from there, once you've done that, that is through step 5 and step 6. Number 7, it says use the data from your printout to convert your times into decimal hours by dividing the minutes by 60 and rounding to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to show you what this means. So if you look at the time of this first one, it's 2:57. We're going to keep the hour the same. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up my calculator, and I'm going to show you how to convert that actual time to a decimal version that we can graph. So while that calculator is coming up here, bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go into my calculator, and I'm going to take my 57, which is the minutes, and I'm going to divide it by 60, and I get 0.95. So then that is going to be 0.295. My next one is this 856. So the 8's going to stay. I'm going to take 56 and divide it by 60, and that would give me about 0.93. So I would do, I'm sorry, these should be decimals. So you're going to do that for all of your times, only of the low and the high tides. You don't care about the sunset, the moonrise, the sunrise, all of those. You only care about the low and the high tides. You're going to go ahead and convert these, and I'm going to show you where to put those here momentarily. So once you've converted all of those, you can go back to your directions, and then I'm going to pause here after 7 and go to the table. So if you go back to Canvas, right here is a T-chart guide. I've made this very simple for you. But on your written portion, this is where I want you to fill things in before you go here and you type them in. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my data. I'm going to do a side by side here to make this easy for us. All right, so if I look at what I have, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my dates. So my first date is 4/20, and it starts at low tide, so I'm good to start here. So 4/20, make sure I'm at low tide. If yours starts at high tide, you would skip that first row. My raw time is 2:57. I'm going to put that in. And then my height is -1.17, which is right here. Now, I went ahead and when I converted my time, I converted it over here. Let me pull this back out. And it was this 02.95. So over here, that's what I'm going to put there. So this right here is the converted minutes. That's the converted minutes. So you're going to put all of that data in there. So this is these three right here. Okay, maybe I'll change my color there, black and black. Okay, these three here are coming straight from the internet. The one, this raw date and time, that is where you've converted the minutes. That's the minute conversion. So that's that part. The next part is your max and min times, and this is the conversion of your hours. So once you've converted your minutes from here, you're going to convert your hours. So first, let me go ahead and write down my high tides and my low tides for my first day. Oops. My time was 8:56. Okay. So there's those. And then my next one, I would label my 4/20. I would do this low tide, which is that 15:08. If I convert 08 and divide it by 60, it's 0.13. So that would go there. And then my height for that one was -0.93. And then my last high tide for that day is right here. So that's at 21.25. If I convert that 25, that would be 21.42. You went around to 2 decimal places there. And my height is 6.33. Okay, so that's the first day. That's day one. Okay, there's going to be no conversion for day one for the hours. It will stay exact as your raw. So I'm copying these straight over here. Okay, so that's that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do just one of the tides from each of the second days. So I'm going to go ahead and do 4/21 first, and we'll go ahead and do the low tide here. Okay, low tide is at 3:44. If I convert the 44, that's 0.73. So it'd be 3.73. And the height is at -1.00. Oops. That's right. Okay, that's good. All right, now for the second set. So that's going to be probably these four. these four right here, you're going to add 24 for the hours. So if I look at my time is this 3:44. So I'm leaving the 0.4, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong column. It's this one right here, the 3.73. I'm going to leave the 0.73, but I'm adding 24 to the 3. So that would be 27. So for each of these values, here, here, and here, you're going to add 24 to get these values over here. Actually, maybe I'll leave that 24. Okay, and then last is going to be your third day. You're going to add 48 to those. So if I go over here to my third day for my data, here's our first tide. So I'm just going to use that as my example. And my time was 4:30. So if I take that 30 and I convert it, I would get 0.5. So then in this case, my 0.5 is going to stay. 0.5 is going to stay here, but I'm taking the 4 hours here and I'm adding 48 to that. And that's going to be my new hours here. Because if we think about the start time of our tides, it starts around 0, and then in 72 hours, that's 3 days. So when we get to this one, it should be somewhere in the 60s or low 70s, close to 72. Okay, it's okay if it's around 60 something. But that's how we get the max and minimum times. Okay, that's that part. So I'm going to get rid of all my arrows and all that fun stuff. Okay, so after that, okay, you will have to calculate your you will have to calculate your okay, let me go back here. You're going to have to find your equation. I'm going to help you do that now. And that will get us that last step of the, or that last column of our table. So right here on your data page, this is what you need. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth a lot, and I apologize in advance for that. But first it says in part A, well actually first, take a look here. This is the form of our equation. That's what we're going to look, that's what we're trying to fill in. So we need to get the A, the B, the H, and the D values. So part A says find D, the vertical shift. The vertical shift is the average of your high tides and the average of your low tides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the average of my high tides, and I'm going to find the average of my low tides. So I need to find those averages first. So I'm going to go back to my data, okay? And I'm going to add all of my low tides together first. And this is the heights of them. So my low tides, 1.17. I'm going to go ahead and circle these just to make it easier for me. Okay, so my low tides negative 1 plus, negative 0.93, plus negative 1.00. Okay, I'm going to press enter. That's going to give me my total, and I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 low tides. So I'm going to take that value and divide it by 6. So my average for my low tides is negative 0.815. So I'm going to go back to my document. So there's that average. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the average of my high tides. So my high tides here. Okay, so there's that, and I divide it by 6, which is 5.59. Okay, so now that we have the average of the high and the low, to get our D value, we're taking the average of those two averages. So to take an average, right, we just did that. We add both values together and divide by how many we have. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my average of my high, adding it to the average of my low, okay, there's that, and I have two values that I added, so I'm dividing by 2. So my D value is 2.3875. Okay, yours will be different. Do not use my value. Okay, it will not give you the right graph. So 2.3875 is my D value. Part A, find the A value, which is the amplitude. It's the distance between your average height and D. Okay, average height. We need to find that. We already have D. So to find our average height, okay, we're going to add our heights together. Okay, so we need to look at the differences of each height. Okay, so here I'm going to do negative 1.17 plus 5.48. So what you're doing is you're taking the low tide and the high tide, adding them together. I'm sorry, subtracting them. A second. The difference. Subtracting them. Okay, this one I guess we're going to have to add because we have a negative. We have a negative, so to find that difference. There we go. Okay, 6.65. And then our next one. That one's 7.26. Okay, so now I have my heights. I'm going to add all those together and divide by 6 because I want the average. All right, 6.405 is my average. okay? And we are doing the distance between your average height and D. So we're going to subtract, which would give us 4.0175. Next, this one's already done for you. Everybody will use 5 pi over 31. And then part D, find H, the horizontal shift. Let H equal the time, of your first tide. So if you go back to your tide information, the time of your first tide is 2:57. We have to convert that, and I don't remember what my conversion was. So I have to do my 57 divided by 30. You should already have that in your table. So 57 divided by 60 is 0.95. So that's the value that you use for this. And then part E, put all together and write your equation. So to write our equation, we're going to follow this guy right up here. Okay, so our A value was 4.0175 times cosine of B, which is 5 pi over 31, okay, times X. Make sure X is not in the denominator there. Minus your H value, which is 2.95. And then plus your D value, which is 2.3875. So that is our equation. Okay, and I do not want you to worry about graphing this by hand. I'm going to show you how to do this part in Desmos. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Desmos to show you how to do this without having to do it all by hand. And you can actually just take a picture of this graph and put it with your write-up. When you type in your equation, do not worry about putting in y equals. That X is important because if you don't put the X in there, you're not going to see the nature of your graph properly. You will just see a straight line. So make sure you have X in that equation. So I just took all of those values, typed them in, and here is my equation. Zoom out a little bit. You can take a screenshot of it, and there is your graph. Now, in order to fill in the rest of our table, which is right here, this comes from using our equation. So I'm going to go ahead and go and use my equation. I'm going to show you how to find these values. So if I want to find this value right here, I'm using this X value and my equation to get there. So I'm going to type in my whole equation. You can do this on Desmos as well. Oops. You can do this on Desmos as well if you would want to. And this is where I'm putting in my X value. Ooh, probably should have put in, sorry guys, I gotta put in another parenthesis here. There we go. And if you're using your graphing calculator and enter it exactly like this, Oh, okay. Let's go to Desmos. I'm having issues on my graphing calculator here. So let me go back to Desmos. Here. Okay, we can actually take this x value and replace it. There we go. So if you just go into that equation that you typed in and replace x with your x value, it'll tell you what y is. So y in this case is 2.85. Oh, I just exited out of that, but that's okay. So if you go into your table, right here, that would have been my first value, the 2.85. So then I would go to my next one, and I obviously deleted that by accident, so I don't have the next value. But whatever it was, say it was 5.85. Okay, and then this would be your y value. So you're going to fill in that last part of the table by entering all of your x values from the previous column and then filling in your y values. Do not forget that your write-up is all typed. So you go back to your packet. Let me erase this. Okay, so if you go back to your packet and you go up here, it tells you what all you need for your typing in your pages. So you can follow that. Please email me if you have any questions.